The best roller coasters in the world are often hard to rank. No one really agrees on one perfect ride or rankings. And looking at rides all over the world, I'll strictly be comparing the best ones I've been on. Everyone's top 10 shifts around a lot. There's so many fantastic rides that couldn't quite make the list, and it's hard to give praise to so many of the best attractions in the world. Let's start with the contenders. Rides that are great, world-class rides, but just not good enough to edge a spot onto the list. One of those rides is the Great King Ka. It will always be remembered. But from historic to modern, we journey across the park to Jersey Devil Coaster and RMC Masterclass to making larger single-rail attractions. Then, at the turn of the century, there was a roller coaster that changed the game forever. Call it overrated, but it's far from it. Somewhere out west, there was an ace in the hole, being Ghost Rider. This splintering wooden airtime machine nearly edged the list. But don't let the sun set on Cedar Point's own Western-themed masterpiece. The ride tends to get overshadowed by the ride next door, but Maverick is still a contender for the top 10 even if it's barely over 100 feet tall. Beginning the top 10 is Iron Rattler, the best roller coaster in the state of Texas by far. Not to knock on the other Texas roller coasters, but Iron Rattler is in its own league. Starting with one of the greatest first drops of all time. You're launched out of your seat while shifting directions twice during the drop. It's something that is too crazy on paper and has to be experienced. You really shouldn't be getting comfortable in those seats, as the ride doesn't end with an insane first drop, since the ride will try to remove you from the train on every airtime hill or inversion. The sheer size of the ride is insane. Of the RMC wood steel track rides, the height ranks 4th in the world. If you're not already sold on why this ride is in the conversation for the best roller coaster of all time, you have the Corey wall interactions that create such a unique gimmick. Hate it or love it, you don't see any other rides that feature terrain usage like Iron Rattler, and I love it. I could talk about every feature of the ride for hours, which is why the roller coaster will have me coming back in line for not just one ride, but at least 10 on a visit. X2 was the last ride Aerodynamics would ever produce, and they ended up making one of the most intense roller coasters ever created. Visually, the ride is intimidating with the 4-dimension spinning trains, but on-ride is just totally different. No ride will make any roller coaster enthusiast want to hold on more than X2. It starts with a disorienting first drop and ends with one of the greatest and most insane elements on any roller coaster out there. I'm thinking that if I managed a few more rides on X2 and spent more time at the park, the ride may be higher on the list. But X2 is an insane ride that's not seen at most other parks that many people visit. It's a shame Aero will never build a ride like X2 ever again. Many can assume it's because the manufacturer went too large of a gamble too soon, costing the company big time. If the company was still around, would there be an undisputed greatest roller coaster? So the biggest what if in the industry will always remain unknown. RMC has revolutionized the game, there's no doubt. From their beginnings in Texas, RMCs have changed a lot over the years. Since their beginning in 2011, we have gotten bigger, faster, and taller rides. Even some new models to diversify their portfolio. Starting with the hybrid model, working their way to wooden roller coasters, and introducing a single rail concept. Each edition is argued as not only the best within a park, but also topping many's overall lists as well. Hershey Park added one of the most outstanding rides. Wildcat's Revenge doesn't mess around. It's just that good. Although it's not the tallest RMC, Wildcat's Revenge will have you holding on the entire ride. The stats really aren't all that impressive. It's not a small RMC, but it's not the biggest either. So going in, I wasn't expecting much of the ride. I'd say this is easily the most aggressive RMC roller coaster that I've ridden. I really seem to enjoy rides where the airtime is almost too powerful. My thighs began to hurt after just one ride, and a marathon on this had me barely able to walk the rest of the day. Wildcat's Revenge is one of those roller coasters where you sit on the final brake run and you wonder, did RMC do too much with the layout? Or is this aggression what roller coaster enthusiasts have asked for? Plus, with RMC attempting to change up its inversions, allows for some of the best inversions on any roller coaster. A ride like Wildcat's Revenge deserves a top 10 spot on the list, and it's really hard to dethrone. But 2023 introduced another RMC hybrid. Battling Hershey Park's RMC Edition was a park no one expected to build a world-class ride prior. We got an RMC Wonder, a 1 in a million ride that no one saw ever coming. I'm glad it did, because Air Force One might be a contender for the greatest roller coaster of all time. If I rode the roller coaster in better conditions, there would definitely be an argument for the best roller coaster ever created by not just RMC, but any manufacturer. It's got some of the best out of your seat airtime out there. It's hard to beat a ride like this. Now entering the top 10, Sky Rush. A lot of roller coaster enthusiasts complained about Sky Rush. Hershey Park decided to take notice of all this attention and change not only the restraints and lap bars, but the theme entirely. New station design with different colors and audio. But did this all translate to a better ride? I'd like to think so. Sky Rush is a machine. Most rides take a slow lift journey to the top, but that's where Sky Rush is different. The station is the last time you'll be able to catch your breath. The ride has that fast cable lift, and it's a great prelude to the pace of the ride to come. Sky Rush is paced to cater to intensity fanatics. Intamin decided to manufacture a masterpiece of a ride. Airtime hill or bank turn, Sky Rush will either be trying to remove riders from the seat or throw them back in for some crushing positive Gs. It's safe to say Sky Rush is a world-class ride. The only question is, how can the manufacturer Intamin top their own work? Islands of Adventure would take note of Intamin's innovation and decided to build an ambitious design. Velocicoaster would be built in 2021, opening to rave reviews and living up to all the hype. Velocicoaster really isn't like any other roller coaster, especially not any rides that any other manufacturer besides Intamin could build. And why I mostly say this is those inversions. Every time the ride has riders head over heels, you're bound for some unreal sensations. In moments that would result in traditional forces for any other manufacturer, Velocicoaster turns off gravity and every row is floating out of their seats. It's really hard to name any other roller coaster where every time you're upside down, you're being removed from the seat. It can be said that the ride supplies the greatest inversions, or at least until we see something that's a little more epic. Staying on track with rides that are the top of their game is another ride that no roller coaster can compare to. This time, it's airtime, a sensation every roller coaster guest loves to experience. Being tossed out of your seat is up there as one of the best parts of any ride, and no ride can have a better performance than Six Flags Great Adventure's wooden monster, El Toro. With some hills trying to eject riders to the moon for countless seconds straight, back to back, it just can't even be a debate that El Toro is an unstoppable force. No ride can top the power. If any future ride ever did, I just don't see it being safe. If there's a roller coaster to have seasoned roller coaster fanatics holding on, it would be El Toro. The only thing keeping the ride from taking my number one spot is the inconsistency in the ride and the lack of quantity that would easily make it a contender for the greatest roller coaster in the world without any second questioning. What if I told you The next ride to top El Toro and Skyrush isn't even 100 feet tall, doesn't even go upside down, and barely has any airtime hills. Sounds crazy, but Terran easily cracks my top 3. I even debated putting the ride higher on the list. What makes the ride so good though? For starters, the theming and music that present the ride before you even walk up to it is perfect. And then once you're on the ride, it's the most fun you'll have on a ride ever. Twisting around rockwork, waterfalls, and buildings feels straight out of a movie. A front row ride supplies the most enjoyment. Terran proves every statistic about a roller coaster wrong, as you don't need inversions to be great. Intamin is one of the best manufacturers in the industry, and it's really tough to top their innovation. Honestly, there's not many Intamin rides that I think could top Terran, but I definitely have my eyes on rides overseas. However, there's only one manufacturer that can beat an Intamin masterpiece. The only 2 rides to top Terran are 2 elite, perfect rides that split the roller coaster world in 2. Iron Gwazi is a beast. I mean, just have a look at those stats. It speaks for itself. RMCs are some of the best roller coasters out there, and Iron Gwazi just dominates their own creations. Busch Gardens Tampa transformed their old wooden roller coaster to a freakish RMC creation. Arguably the best of their modern wonders, making a new era of RMC. Airtime, inversions, intensity, Iron Gwazi has it all and cranks each of its strengths to its max. The pacing is unreal. Before a rider can even process the previous element, the roller coaster is already throwing the train into the new sequence. I've ridden Iron Gwazi more than a few hundred times, and each ride still manages to leave me feeling speechless when it ends. I always exit thinking it's really hard to craft a roller coaster that has a better use of its track. Back row, front row, middle row, left seat, or right, Iron Gwazi is going to supply an experience that shatters that of every other roller coaster across the globe. Wait, but Iron Gwazi was my number 2. That could only mean... Let's look at some stats really quick. With airtime hills compared to track length of all the RMCs, the higher the coaster on the vertical axis, the more track length, and the further to the right we get is the more airtime elements. It's pretty crazy how long and airtime packed some of the RMC works are, especially like Haikuge with a groundbreaking ride for its time. But what if I told you I'm forgetting a ride? Steel Vengeance. That's just how insane the stats are on Steel Vengeance. If we're looking at stats, it's no wonder Steel Vengeance is number 1. Steel Vengeance is a clear outlier. The only ride that comes close is Twisted Colossus, and that's a ride with 2 lift hills in one ride. And it still isn't even close. If you know anything about the roller coaster industry, you probably could have guessed my number 1. Steel Vengeance needs no introduction. The stats are the proper argument why. Overall, here's some stats of the list. With only 1 wooden roller coaster and 9 steel or hybrid attractions. Half of the list consists of RMC roller coasters, then the next most prominent manufacturer is 4 rides by Intamin, leaving 1 remaining aerodynamics roller coaster. In the future, I aim to diversify the list a little more, so stay with me along my journey to riding some of the world's best roller coasters.